Hello again, Charles, and let's go straight to an important question. Why is worship important? I want to repeat that. Why is worship important? And I want to answer the best way I can by saying that worship allows our spirit to link with God. Now, there is an enormous difference in singing in church and in the same time worshiping in church. One person can hold the hymn book and be singing, the person next to them holding the hymn book, and two very radically different things are happening. One is worshiping, the other is only singing. Well, now, we are commanded to come into God's presence with singing. But the end beyond that is that we are to go beyond the mere act of words and voice and breath coming out of us and enter into true worship. Now, what's important about that difference? Worship allows our spirit to link with God. Hear that. Worship, not singing, worship allows our spirit to link with God, and it happens here in the human realm. It reveals what God has confined in the spiritual dimension. Worship ushers us into the presence of God. It's so important that we understand that, because I can promise you this: you can come to church, you can sing, you can go through all the act, through all the performance, and there be no impartation of the Holy Spirit taking place. And it's that impartation of the Holy Spirit that does not just worship God, but worship draws us into His presence. And again, we know this is true. People can be sitting together on the same row in church, and each of them being at a different level of worship, and some not being in worship at all. In ancient Israel, when the high priest annually came before God to go into the Holy of Holy Places and carry the blood of atonement and sprinkle it on the Ark of the Covenant, please know this: he did not walk up to the veil and jerk it aside and go in. Had he done that, he would have died on the spot. God did not accept that kind of approach. Instead, what seems to have taken place is that the priest, bearing the blood of atonement, stood before the presence of the veil, and there was no gap in it. It did not open. And then very humbly got down to the floor and crawled under the veil, and then stood up in the presence of God. And the Shekinah glory, the light of the holy place, would then be upon him. God would accept his sacrifice, the blood of atonement. Now that same pattern follows us in Christian worship today. Choirs can sing, soloists can perform, all of that can be taking place, and there be absolutely no worship involved. It can be flatline, and God has no reason to respond. It's all performance, it's all ritual, it's all a liturgical appearance before God. I'm sorry, that doesn't find acceptance in the presence of God. And I will say this: I have been in both traditional camps of worship and charismatic and Pentecostal camps of worship. There's something of great value in each one. And we cannot focus just on one pattern. Traditional Christianity, you hold the hymn book, you sing, and that's it. It can be worship. It can bring one into the very presence of God. But it can also be performance. With charismatic and Pentecostal services, oh, it can be great excitement. It can be hand clapping. It can be dancing. It can be celebrating. And remain there. And never, never go under the veil. What I look for in worship, being in numbers of congregations that I've been in recent years, I want to begin with praise, excited, come before God with celebration. But we dare not stay there. We come into an awareness that we are approaching the Creator of the universe. We are approaching the one who speaks and it stands, who commands and it's brought to pass. The Creator. We don't come in frivolously before Him. At the same time, we don't fear Him because He loves us. And it's in worship to God that goes beyond ordinary singing. And the mystery of worship transcends human effort and moves the worshiper into realms far beyond earth, time, space, and all the limitations of our present dimension. That's what we want. In worship, are you in joy right now? Worship. Privately? At home? Are you in joy? Worship. Are you in sorrow? Worship. Are you in pain? Worship. Are you fearful? In a frightening situation? Worship. Are you failing in life? Worship. Are you succeeding in life? Worship. In all things, give thanks to God, for this is the will of God for you. Worship. That's not a denominational experience. That's not a church experience. That's a you and God experience. Protect it, love it, use it, benefit by it. And in everything, give praise to God. God bless you. Press that little subscribe button at the bottom if it's there. And let us hear from you. And let us know you're benefiting by these quick messages. So for now, God bless you.